All right, another limit problem. We're being asked to find the limit as x approaches -5. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to plug stuff in, because why not? Double check that everything is working out, and if it's not, then that's okay. 2 times -5 is -10. -10 plus 10 is 0. Yay. Then we've got -5 squared is 25. 25 and 2 is 50. Actually, I don't even have to do that whole thing. I can just use my calculator as a shortcut. I'm assuming it's going to work out to be 0, but just so that you guys trust me and making sure that you plug things in the correct way. See, 0. I wasn't lying. Okay, 0 over 0, removable discontinuity. I know something has to factor and cancel, and yet the way that it's written is not factorable. So I'm going to try to factor the top and the bottom. So right away I notice that the 2x and the 10 have a 2 in common, meaning they're both divisible by 2. So I'm going to factor that 2 out and try to think about, if I take that 2 out, what has to be here so that I mean the same thing? Because all this is about is writing things differently but the same, right? Like 4 plus 6 is written as an addition problem. 5 times 2 is a multiplication problem, but they all still represent 10. I can't change 4 plus 6 into 5 times 3. I can change 4 plus 6 into 5 times 2. I can change 4 plus 6 into 10 to 11 minus 1 or whatever I want it to. It just always has to mean the same thing. So if I'm going to rewrite the top, it's still got to mean the same thing. So I'm basically thinking about, what do I have to multiply 2 by to get this first term, and naturally that's x. And then I think, okay, what do I have to multiply the second thing by to get a 10? Well, 2 times 5 is going to give me my 10, and I'll just double check. 2x, 10, 2x, and 10. Yay. All right. So that one's sort of easy. Downstairs, we've got a 2x squared plus 13x plus 15. It's probably been a while since you guys have factored that kind of stuff. So I'm just going to do this one separately so that you guys can kind of see. All right. I don't do any tricks or ideas. I mean, I use a lot of logic. If you're using some other strategy and you're getting the exact same answers, cool. I want you to do whatever is good for you. So I'm thinking about, I know that this is going to turn into a multiplication problem that looks like this. So whatever I multiply here at the beginning is going to have to produce a 2x squared. So right off the bat, I'm thinking, I know I'm going to need an x and an x, because together x times x makes x squared. But I need a 2x squared, so I'm going to toss in the 2 right here. Not out here. That would change things up a lot, because if you put here a 7, you've now just made 14. So be very careful. You want that 2 on the inside there. Okay. All right. Now I just have to worry about the back numbers. The first number is taken care of. Now I worry about that 15. So whatever I put here has to give me a 15. And again, it's got to be multiplication. So the two things that I can think of that multiply to 15, well, 1 times 15 gives me 15, and so does 3 times 5. I feel like 1 and 15 probably isn't the answer, but I'm not sure. So I'm going to just start with 5, because that's what my gut instinct tells me. So basically, I'm going to put in a 3, and I'm going to put in a 5. And they both are going to be positive, at least for right now, because it's a positive 15 here. All right. Actually, you know what? I'm going to switch these around. No reason, I'm doing it for an example. All right, so now we're going to double check. 2x and x gives me 2x squared. 5 times 3, and again, this is a positive 5 and a positive 3, gives me that positive 15. So I know my outsides match. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that the insides match. So I'm going to take my arrows and basically connect 2x to the 3. Well, 2x and 3 gives me 6x. 5 times x gives me 5x, and together that's 11 x's. I'm supposed to have 13 in the middle, not 11. So what this tells me is that the 5 and the 3 was the wrong choice. So one of two things happens. 5 and 3, the way that I've written them right now, isn't right. So I can do one of two things. I can change the numbers completely. Let's make it 15 and 1. 2x times x gives me the 2x squared. 15 times 1 gives me the 15. If I connect the outsides, 2x times 1 is 2x. 15 and x is 15x. Put them together, you get 17x. Again, not the middle. That's because 15 and 1 wasn't the answer. Okay, so it wasn't 3 and 5, and it also wasn't 1 and 15, but it actually was 3 and 5. If you remember, I put the 5 here and the 3 here. So if you're trying a set of numbers and you're like, wait, that's not working out, don't be afraid to just flip up them. 5 and 3 is going to give me 15, but maybe the 5 doesn't belong here. Maybe it belongs here. Let's see what happens if we rearrange it in this way. 2x and x still gives me 2x squared. 3 and 5 still gives me 15, so I know the outsides match. Now I'll just worry about the insides. 2x and 5 gives me 10x. 3 and x gives me 3x. That's 13x. What I have in the middle is a 13x. So now I know that my parentheses, that my factors, whatever you want to call them, that this is the correct answer. And so now I'm just going to take this factored form and put it back on the top of my fraction. Look, that was silly. Actually went downstairs. Look at that. All right. So we factored the top by taking out the 2. We factored this one by messing around with it till we got the right combo. And now if you notice, something good has happened. The x plus 5s will cancel, leaving me with a 2 and a 2x plus 3. And remember, the limit was as x approaches -5. So now what I have to do for my last step, which kids always forget about, so make sure that you do, is you simplify the top, simplify the bottom. 2 and 5 is -10. -10 plus 3 is -7. And ta-da. So the limit of this is 2 -7ths. You just have to get around and play with these numbers. There's no real secret here. It's just a matter of, can you rewrite this in something that's a multiplication problem that if you distributed this would mean the original. And it's the same way with one set of parentheses or 2. It's just you got to logic your way out of it. And then hopefully if you did it right, the factors cancel and the problem that you did have when x was -5 or whatever this number is goes away when you cancel that. All right, I hope that helps.